Every year, we're seeing more and more wineries pop up in our wine regions all across Ontario. When you think of these new wineries, you think of these big, flashy operations with investors from the big city. But you know what? That's not always the case. More and more, we're seeing these families that have been growing grapes here on these lands for generations taking the next step and starting their own wineries. Today, we're visiting one of those wineries. We're here at Between the Lines in Virgil, just outside Niagara-on-the-Lake. Hi, I'm Michael Velitis, and welcome to another episode of On Wine TV. So we're out here on a gorgeous August morning here out in Niagara-on-the-Lake. We're at Between the Lines Winery and we're standing in the vineyard with Greg Wertsch, one of the owners of Between the Lines. Greg, thank you very much for having us here today. You've got a beautiful vineyard out here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. So Greg, tell us a little bit about the history of your family. I know you've been growing grapes here on this property for a while. So how long has your family been growing grapes here?
Well, actually, my parents bought this vineyard in '98, right? So we've been on site for almost 13 years. So I guess me and my brother have been spending almost half our life out in this vineyard.
So you guys started making your wines in 2009. How was the transition of going from a family of grape growers into starting up your own winery, and was there any challenges with that?
Well, the transition was quite a challenge, but we always knew that we wanted to get further into the business, further into the wine side of things as well. So we're still growers. The majority of what we do is still growing grapes. And we actually decided 2009, okay, well, let's go ahead and see if we can't do a winery. And actually before that, we decided to go get an education in this. So my brother and me, we both went to Germany, and my brother is also a graduate of Niagara College, actually.
And so, Greg, what type of varieties are you growing out here in your vineyard, and what type of wines are you selling in your winery that you're making with these varieties?
If we're looking at the whites, we're growing Gewurz, Riesling. We just planted a little bit of Pinot Gris and Chardonnay to complete the portfolio for the whites. On the reds, we have Cab Franc, Pinot Noir, and we actually just planted a new varietal called Lemberger, and I guess Merlot to round out.
So tell us a little bit about Lemberger. It is a Vitis vinifera variety. It's a full European variety.
Yeah, it is. It is actually an ancient varietal too. It's grown basically in Central and Eastern Europe, so it's grown along the Danube. And because there are so many small countries actually along there, it has up to 18 different names. Blaufränkisch is the actual international name for it, and that's the Austrian version. We try to go with Lemberger because it just seems to be a little easier to pronounce, right? But there are actually quite a lot of fields here already with Lemberger. So if you haven't tried the single varietal, you might have tried it being blended away in one of the Ontario wines.
Okay, so we're in the cellar here with Greg, and he's got a couple of his babies, a couple of his wines he wants to share with us. So Greg, what are we trying today?
Well, I'm really glad you guys did come when you came, because the 2009 vintage is actually my one and only shot at fame. As I mentioned early in the vineyards, actually, my brother will be the winemaker from here. But this is very proud of these. Took a lot of effort.
As you should be.
The first one that we'll be tasting is actually a 2009 Riesling. Now I find it's a very traditional Riesling. We didn't try to make it overly sweet, but it's actually just off dry. It's got about 8 grams of residual sugar. I guess that makes it a 0.8 on the sugar scale. And we're very happy with this wine actually. It's nice and floral. It's got a little bit of lemon notes to it, a little bit of honeysuckle to it, and it's nice full-bodied. It's actually a really, really nice wine.
Nice. I'm excited to try it. I'm definitely, as we know, a big Riesling fan, especially the 2009s actually. Big fan of the 2009 Rieslings. Oh yeah, there you go. We've got that. I get a little bit of that honeysuckle, and I find the Niagara-on-the-Lake Rieslings have a little bit more of that tree fruit on the nose compared to some of the bench. So you get a little bit of that honeysuckle and that apricot there, but definitely lots of citrus too as well. That does have a nice big filling, like it fills the mouth. It's got just that little bit of sweetness, which Riesling takes very well because it's still got that juicy acidity, which makes it very refreshing. Nice. It's got a lot of that clean aftertaste with that sort of lemon lime and a little bit of that apple there.
No, I really like the aftertaste of it as well. It's really long. It's got a very elegant finish, I find.
It does. It's a very clean Riesling. I really like it. So Greg, I'm excited about this next wine because not a lot of wineries, or no wineries that I know out here, are doing a single varietal Limburger. So do you want to tell us about that?
Now, the Limburger we only have very limited quantities of because we didn't know what to expect from the variety. So our initial planting of it was actually just a couple trial rows. And with hindsight now, it makes me wish we would have planted right off the bat because it's a fantastic wine. It grows very well here, it ripens very nice, and it creates really nice dark red wines.
So I'm excited to try it there. And so this wine, you were mentioning before, it has aged in barrel. It's been in barrel for how long?
Yeah, we actually put this in a blend of French and American barrels for almost a year and a half.
So year and a half, wow. Oh my God, that smells fantastic. It's got, right away on the nose, I almost would think it's like a Syrah, and with the color too, it's got a little bit of those similarities to some Ontario Syrahs, but it smells soft and you get a little bit of that vanilla too coming through. Wow, that's a gorgeous deep color. The oak and then lots of fruit still there on the nose, a lot of those dark cherry and dark blackberry fruits coming through. That's fantastic. Again, I get some of these similarities with Syrah because I get this pepperiness from it, but it's still nice and soft. Like I think the oak did it very well because it's very soft, very smooth. I almost get like that kind of cola on the finish there with that. That's a big wine coming out of Niagara. That's fantastic. I think you're going to do very well with this wine because this is one of the more richer style wines coming from Niagara. It's got that nice length and that nice full body and great aroma to it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this.